Today's guest is someone whose story beautifully breeds creativity and consciousness. And this is our favorite topic around here in this podcast. Brooke Wilen is a fine art photographer, storytelling, and spiritual guide whose work explores awakening, authenticity, and self expression. Her photography celebrates beauty, light, and human connection. Beyond her visual art, shares her spiritual journey openly on her YouTube channel, documenting her path of awakening and helping others reconnect to their truth and creative essence. Brooke, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Decoding the Flow. I just want to let you know how I found you. I think because of your incredible and most amazing photography and very vibrant. So I connected right away with you on Instagram. And then I started following you, and you just have such a light of sharing your gallery and your art. And then I found your YouTube channel, which is like a different word of you than what you usually share in your Instagram. And then I connected even further because it's all about like consciousness, and you share your experiences with your own spiritual awakening. So I love that we can have this space today so we can talk about both and how they can interconnect. How does your awakening play a role in your creative process and vice versa?
Okay. Hi.
You can also just start by saying who you are and where you're from originally. So you can start by that.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me on the show. And I also love your work. I feel very connected to it. It's so bright and I love, yeah, your use of color is amazing. So I think that we connect on that colorful front. It's such an important colors have a vibration. Every color has a feeling to it. So a bit about me. Yeah, I'm from Los Angeles. I'm a Los Angeles native, but the South Bay is like its own unique area to Los Angeles. I grew up, on the other side of town, but at some point, just naturally, something opened up in Manhattan Beach, a little space. Then I really felt called to it, and it just kind of naturally unfolded. So that was a really fun surprise. I kind of go with where the universe takes me.
With the flow.
I'm not much
Exactly.
of I never plan for anything.
You just
I
open yourself for things to come, right?
Yeah, I do my best. It's funny because on the one hand, I can get very stressed and anxious, but I've learned through opening spiritually that the best thing is being in the moment. And I think one of the things that you talk about, like the flow and with my photography, that's really what started to happen is that I took pictures for hire. I was a photographer for hire. I worked with companies on their social media. I did social media management and content creation, like at the very beginning of that whole thing, like before there was even my Instagram. I did it even like MySpace I used for business. And then companies started to hire me to do their social media. And then I started to take pictures as part of that work. And I took photography. I knew photography from like taking pictures with film and those kind of things. And then I started to use my phone and actually be with these different businesses and just walk into their space and be able to just see what was special about their space and be in the moment. And then I started to do it just in my personal life. I would go on a walk and all of that. And what I realized, because I was super anxious and not in the flow, and then as I started to take these in the moment pictures, both for my clients and then for myself, I started to feel so good. And I would sort of lose time and space, so to speak. Like I
That's
would lose.
exactly when you're in flow. That's one of the top like characteristics of flow that they say. Will you lose track of time?
Yeah. Yeah. It would
Exactly.
like everything would just sort of fall away, not just time, but even space. Like I would lose the first time it happened I remember I was in a garden. I was taking pictures of flowers. It had been raining. And so these roses had perfect little raindrops on them. And I started to take these pictures, and it was like there was nothing else but me and the flower. It was like this weird thing, like my breathing slowed down. It was a really interesting experience. The first time that happened to me, and then all of a sudden, like the whole world came back, and I was like, "What was that? That was cool." And that was, like, early on, and I was just like, "Wow, that was it was so amazing." And I'd had the experience, like, where I would be on a walk, and all of a sudden 2 or 3 hours would go by, and because I was taking pictures, I just didn't notice. But that was the first time where I literally even the space, even the material world dropped away. It was like blackness, me and the flowers. It was really interesting. And, so that that just naturally taking the nature of taking pictures for my clients, I had so many different kind of businesses that I worked with, and so I had to be able to just be on the spot with them and see what was special about them, and then starting to do it where I'm just looking at the outside world, seeing trees and whatever in front of me, and then I started to open up more and more to being, wow, things just if you just let it, if you just get up, go outside, like, move through your day, if you just let it, things will just come to you, present themselves to you, and so, by the time I got this space, I was already understanding that things come to you, and I just kind of said one day, it would be nice to have a space, but I can't afford to, like, have my own space, and then someone told me about this was originally, like, a shared space, someone was looking to share a space. I was like, "Oh," and it happened to be in the South Bay in Manhattan Beach, which I love. I knew this area somewhat from growing up, but hadn't spent that much time, and I was like, "I'll take it," right? Because I could do it, and then eventually I thought it would be nice to have this place all to myself, and then the person who was here moved on, their business grew, so I was like, "I'll take it over," and now I'm a South Bay.
It's a very beautiful way to express yourself because it's such a beautiful community. And I think your type of work is just the perfect fit for the South Bay. Especially you can walk down the street and have a photography session because you're like right almost by the ocean. By the
Yeah.
way, if you not know, like yesterday, which was Sunday, I went to Brooks Gallery for the first time. That was when we first time when we met personally. We spent like an hour, almost 2 hours just talking about our experiences and our creative processes. So nice.
That was
Okay, now I have a question about your inner transformation. What led you to this deep transformation, and how did it begin to influence your creative expression, even in your previous work and now with your fine art photography? I love to know
the transformation,
your
like,
inner work, your inner
my,
like
like, sort of
sense of
spiritual.
self. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your spiritual awakening.
Yeah, that is just happening in steps and stages.
I don't think he never stops, right? But it is a time that you remember that when it starts for you.
Yeah, I can remember for me, so like I said, and so I used to be like so anxious. I had all the things like anxiety, panic attacks, OCD, phobias, like all the things. And I got to a place where it was like so bad, I could barely leave the house. I was just like, I had all these, so funny because it's like so different now. Um, I got to the place where it was just so bad that I could barely function, and I really needed help, and I had tried traditional things like therapy and all of that, and nothing really worked, and then someone who I knew very well told me about this woman, it's just, someone outside the box, woo woo, whatever you wanna say, and I ended up meeting her, and she changed my life. She helped me see things different. She helped me I through her, like, I learned for the first time about focus and the importance of where you put your attention, and it was funny because at that time, it's a long time ago now, it's funny, I was 33, which is, I know, a big number, right? Like a spiritual number.
Transformation, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I didn't know anything about anything at that time. I was just, I had no spiritual feeling. But yeah, this just happened, and this woman came into my awareness, and she really helped me understand focus and how important it is. And through her, I really right away shifted. Right away, I started to feel better, see the world different, and open up. Like I used to feel like nauseous, like sick to my stomach all the time. I had ulcers, I had all kinds of problems. And right away, I was like, I remember the first time I was like, went a whole week without like feeling sick. And I was like, oh my God, is this what life is like? It's so bizarre because now I always feel good. Like it's so funny. But yeah, that was really a big deal. Just her telling me, showing me like what you put your attention on is important, and it definitely changes how your body, everything, like how the body and mind is connected, how they're trying to communicate, how there's something wrong in the body. It's an emotional issue. So this was the first connection. So for me, that was like life changing, and it was really just, if I could sum it up, it's really just about where you put your attention. And I think so many of us don't realize we're putting our attention on very negative or emotional things, and it's just you're spinning around it in that. And I get it, it's hard, especially now. It gets harder and harder. There's like so many things vying for your attention. But all you have to do is stop, take a breath, go look at a tree. Like go, you know what I do, don't even need to do that. Just like look at a piece of art, look at something that feels good, look at a picture of something that feels good. Right? Like anything. It's like it's not that hard, but when you're in it and you're feeling shitty, it's just like you kinda spin out. So for me, at least, that was that was I reached some kind of breaking point, and then this person appeared. What they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah,
And I've had many teachers since then, but that was definitely the first one.
point.
Yeah, it shifted my awareness to the point where I could let in more and more and more. Because I think that's too, that's important part of the journey is I'm so surprised, like, each time I think I've let in so much, and then there's more.
You mentioned about focus and how it is important, especially in any type of creative work. The only way that you can have flow is to have focus. Is there any specific technique that maybe your mentor taught you? Because today, like you said, it's so hard to have focus because we are bombarded by all the things all the time. Is there a technique that you'd like to share
Yeah.
to gain back your focus for your
Yeah,
creative
actually.
expression?
Well, one thing that I think the thing that really shifted me in that time period, and it's so simple, because like you said, so there's so many things vying for your attention, and you have to remember at least what she helped me see, I would have these like anxiety attacks, and she would tell me like, you're focused on one really like one thing, and it's eclipsing everything.
Mhm.
So she had me do this exercise, and I highly recommend it to anyone. I still do it sometimes, like just to, if I get a little off the rails or whatever.
It's normal. It happens time to time.
Yeah, totally. And it's just a way to bring yourself back and realize it's okay. Like life is good. Like your life is good. It's okay. You're okay. But because I think that's what happens. You think you're not okay, but what's happening is just something is distracting you. But so what she had me do was every night, she said, get every night when you get home, get out a piece of paper, put a line down the center. On one side, put all the things that went well today, and the other side, all the things that didn't go well. Here's
Mm.
the important part. You're only talking about that day, today, right? It's not the day before, a week before, something that might happen, something you saw on the news, something that didn't not really happening to you. It's you and your day, right? And so because what happens is, so you start with the good column, and you, anything that comes to mind. I got up, I'm breathing, like any, it depends where you are mentally, but what happens is like I'm walking, I'm breathing, I'm, hey, yeah, you know what? Actually, I did the laundry, and I did I got things done, and I talked to this person, and someone smiled at me. And so you notice, like, once you get going, you could fill the whole page, or you could fill like 20 more pages, really, because
Uh-huh.
once you get that going, and then you go over to the column where things didn't work out. And I swear there was never, I think maybe the maximum amount of things was two. Usually it was one, and usually it was none, because usually it's something you're carrying from something else,
From the past,
or
resolve.
something that you saw had happened to somebody else that didn't even happen to you. Like, so you start to realize what happens is when you write it down in your own hand and you sit back and then you look at the list and you see this list goes on and on and on, all these amazing things. And then there's like this one thing, and maybe, look, maybe something happened, you had a fight with someone or something, and it lasted for 10 minutes, and you're letting these 10 minutes just
Ruin the whole
over the 24-hour, like, it's crazy, and once you start to write it down, you start to realize, this is crazy, like, that's ridiculous that's how I'm spending my time, and you, but you have to do it for yourself, because when I looked at it, like, it only took a few days for me to really completely that's something that completely shifted my perspective because you start to understand where your focus is going,
Mm,
how there's all this stuff that you could focus on that's really great, and then you're, for some reason, spending all your time on this thing, and it's like it's such an eye opener. I don't think that I challenge anyone who thinks life is shitty to sit down and do that and,
love that.
like, and do
So
it, look at it day after day.
So every night I'm gonna repeat it so we get it completely how and we
Mm,
can start doing it tonight. I'm gonna start doing so hopefully whoever is watching is gonna do it as well. You have to write down with your hands on and put it on a piece of paper and you have to do the positive things that happen in your day and you just list all things and then on the other side the negative just only for that specific day and you
mhm.
do it towards the end of the day. So interesting. I love it.
Before you go to bed, and the things that happen in that day, and make sure it's stuff that actually it's you and your experience.
Not someone
Something you saw
else.
on the news, it's something like, this is your life we're talking about.
It can be somebody else triggered you, but it needs to be from your own experience, right?
Yeah.
Directed to you. I love that. I usually do my journals on the morning, and I heard somebody saying that doing it at night it's even better because you can kind of reevaluate your day, just like you're doing it, and you can sleep because your sleep is a really important time when you're like right before bed whatever you're thinking about it, that's pretty much how you're gonna wake up the next day. So once you
It goes into your subconscious mind.
yeah, it goes to your subconscious mind. So if you're like mad at you or mad at somebody else, goes deep into your mind, and we don't want that negative stuff get stuck in us. Thank you so much for sharing. Next question. Your YouTube channel, it is such a space for your authentic storytelling and you share so openly about your experiences and your healing. What inspired you to share your spiritual journey into that YouTube? Because you said that you started by sharing the art business, and then for some reason you switch, and that's when you start like getting track. So I'd love to hear what was that decision that you have?
Well, it just kind of so yeah, I started YouTube. I thought I would talk about business stuff. I actually had been interviewed by like a photography oriented business, like from their YouTube. So I thought, oh, I'll start a YouTube and get like traffic to my YouTube. And then I made a few videos, not much. I guess I don't know. I wasn't that maybe I wasn't that into it. I don't know. But I just made a few videos. It didn't really, nothing really happened. And then I just got this urge, just kind of got like a nudge, from the universe, from my higher self, just like, just to share the stories, the things that have happened to me because I realize like I've had a lot of the things that people look for. I've had
Mm.
Kundalini awakening, out of body experiences, body healing, like all these mystical experiences. Like, it's like, I'm just over here. I don't really have a community like that in my life that's different than how I grew up and the people that I know. So I thought, well, maybe there's people like me that are having experiences and would benefit from hearing, or I don't know, but I just felt like a calling, I guess. And so I was like, okay. So I started to make a few videos and then I don't know, maybe not that many, like before people started to follow me and look at the videos.
Because like I follow you on Instagram and then I love it all because of the art and I connected with the colors. But when I saw your YouTube, it was like, okay, it connected in a deeper level because I'm on the same spot. I love my art, I love my creativity, and I love sharing my colorful paintings and my process. But every time that I want to write about something, I don't want to talk about business. And this is why this podcast is like it's not like I don't even consider like an art podcast, even though I talk to creatives most. But I think this is the only podcast that I know of that talk about consciousness and art where there's this specific place that you found in your YouTube channel and that I'm trying to build here too, because you don't see this anywhere. You said, I don't have a community, and now that you have it because you start sharing. So that's also exactly what I hope for this community, Decoding the Flow, is to find other artists or other people who are going through a spiritual awakening or just more curious about life itself, because I think everything starts changing when you start changing your own questioning about life. So when you turn inward, I think we all kind of go through this process, almost like a dark night of the soul. Have you had a dark night of the soul when you feel isolated? I completely had it. I for 4 years, like, what am I doing with my life?
I always say I feel like the first 33 years of my life were like dark
Yeah.
night of the soul. And then I started to awaken, then I met that woman and I remember saying to her one day, I was like, I feel like I was in prison, but I didn't know it was prison. And now I'm like standing at the door, like looking out, and it's like, wait, was I in prison and didn't like I felt like my whole life was this place that I thought that was just life, and then I shifted my focus, all these things changed, and then it's like that allegory of the cave,
Mm.
that story?
No, I
Like,
don't.
I think Plato, and it's like these people are, they're all in a cave looking at a projection on like, on the wall, and they think that's life, and then one guy actually, like, gets outside, and he was like, "Oh my god, we were in a cave, where did," and he sees the sun and all this stuff, and then he goes back in the cave and tries to tell them, but they're like, I think in the end, they kill him or something, like, they can't hear it. They don't wanna understand that that's what it is.
Like, now that you're explaining, I think I know something about it. He goes
Very
out and
famous.
have a completely different open experience, and but nobody understands because how would they know, right?
They don't understand, and also, like, they don't wanna believe it. They don't wanna believe that they've been manipulated in this way, right? And it's I can understand, like, when I remember when I had that experience, I didn't know about that story at that time, but I had that real experience for myself where I was like, "Oh my god, I feel like I've been in prison and I didn't know it was prison. I don't even understand, like, what is life?" And I just had this, like, amazing awakening, but also a lot comes with that of realizing all the things that you believed and the things that you just regurgitated that other people said. Like, you have to take a lot of responsibility for
Mhm.
yourself that
100%.
even as a kid, the other thing this woman taught me, like, there's a lot of talk now about, like, healing and this, and there's a lot of blame that goes around, but what I think this woman, one of the greatest gifts she gave me too, was we would talk about, like, we'd go back into childhood or whatever, and then she would always have me say, she would have me feel it out, but then she would say, "And you have to acknowledge, like, you went into agreement. You were a little kid, you didn't know any better, but you decided to agree to it because you thought that's what you had to do to survive. It's okay. It's not about blaming yourself either, but you take the power to yourself when you do that. Even a small child, you're still making choices for yourself. It's like, like if you just leave blame somewhere, leave it on society, on your parents or whatever, you're disempowering yourself. But
Yeah.
even at every stage of life, you say, yeah, and I chose to agree to this because I didn't know what else to do. I did my best, totally understandable. And yes, even as a small child, every one of us has power and choices. And it was like, it's so interesting because I feel like a lot of people don't. There's like a big movement to sort of like blame
Yeah.
and past generations and all this stuff. And it's like, some point you got to stop. You got to say, look, we all
And
did
to
our best. Here we are. Let's go forward.
And to be honest, I really believe that every single one who had or is being going through a spiritual awakening, it was that period of time when they stopped blaming everyone else and decided to look inside. What is that about me? Like, for example, I had so many bad experiences with toxic relationships, not just love relationships, past work environment relationships, all super toxic. And then it was one time that I talked to my therapist, and it was like, what do they all have in common? So I must be the toxic one.
It's not even toxic, it's just you're repeating a pattern.
Yeah.
I hate the word toxic too because
Yeah, it is. It's a very
you're not
negative. It's a very
toxic,
negative.
you're stuck in a
They
you
didn't
didn't
know any
know.
better. Yeah. And
It
then like from my own studies that I've been going through almost like the same path as you, they say that our soul, like you mentioned, the contract, our soul came into this body with the people that should make us grow and expand to the best version of ourselves. So if
Yeah.
you look into this lens, everything is a blast. I look at my past and I would leave exactly the same thing because I'm so proud of the person that I am today. I wouldn't change like anything. Bring it on.
That's the best way. I feel like that's the way
Uh,
is to
to be
realize
herself.
everything is for you, not against you, to show you whatever it is you need to see that you've been and I just did a video. I don't think I posted it yet. I made a couple of videos, but it was like the idea that everything's happening for you and even the people that you find irritating
Mm,
or whatever do upsetting things, like, we're all playing a part in each
mm,
other's story, and even that person, it's like they're playing the role that you assigned to them. You think you're, like, the victim of something, but it's no, everybody's showing you whatever it is that you wanna see, and you're seeing, like, the reflection that is beneficial to you, and it's amazing when you start to look at things like that, you start to just laugh because 'cause you're like, yeah. Oh, I see what I could see myself, right? I was doing that.
yeah.
Like someone you look at and you go, "Oh, I would never. I'm not like that." But if you're honest, they're showing you something
Yeah.
that you actually maybe you are like that.
All of your triggers are just a
Yeah.
sign there's something that you have to look with so much love within yourself. Also, we talk about not blaming, right? Taking ownership too. But I think another thing that kind of goes hand in hand, that's very important, it's forgiving yourself. Just for the
Mhm.
fact because you didn't know any better. I think
Yeah.
that was the hardest for me is to forgive myself. And because for a long period of time, I was like, why would I do that? Why did I allow this to happen for so long?
Yeah. You didn't know you didn't have access to the idea before.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the experience, you had the experience which led you to the realization. I know it's hard. I do the same thing where I hold on too long and then I'm like, no, that you got to accept the gift of like what it was and then move forward.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, I wouldn't change anything in my past now because I would not become the person that I am today. So, kind
Yeah.
of everything led to this point.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating.
It's powerful.
Oh my gosh, we are almost done here, but I do have a few more questions. And let's just talk a little bit more about your gallery, Manhattan Beach, because it's such a powerful platform for expression. Has created that space for you, deepen your connection with the community, and what does it mean to you to share that type of art that carries so much creative consciousness?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the community is amazing here. It's such a talk about like a high vibrational place.
Yeah.
Everybody here is so nice and happy and helpful. So I love being a part of this community, having a business here. And the like sharing the work, it feels to me, I feel like I said so good when I take the pictures. And I feel like it's so nice having a space where it can be all my work, and then when people come in, it's like a very intimate space, and I could feel, like, their whole mood changes. They're like, "Wow, it's so happy in here," and they want to a lot of people express that, like, they want to feel that, they wanna take some of that home, feel it at home. They sit in here and they look around and they could feel the energy of it, and then they wanna keep that energy going. I mean, of course, I'm honored to think that something I created helps someone else. And also, to whoever's listening, you have that in you, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need something outside of you, although sometimes we look at certain things and we get a feeling from it, but that feeling is really you, right? That's who we are, is that good feeling. So people are expressing it in many different ways. I express it through photographs, but it makes me feel good to think that people are feeling that in the presence of my
Yeah.
piece.
I have an interesting question because that is something that I have to be very honest with myself because your type of work is almost like the same as mine. We share happiness, right? We have vibrant artworks. So I have to really be honest on myself, or maybe like before I step into the studio, I kind of have to have prime section to kind of prime my brain to be able to keep creating what I want to convey. And there's this mystery of the sad artist, right? Of the suffering of the artist that will create beauty. And I don't see myself as that. If I'm really sad, I don't even want to create, because that's, I really believe that the power of intention, that you do something, it will create the outcome. And like when people buy an original art, like an original like photograph, they are kind of taking that piece of your own consciousness to their home.
Yeah.
So I have to be honest, and that's just a way that I do it. Do you have any way that you prime yourself, or do you create when you're sad? How does that work for you?
So for me, I mean, I guess it's different probably because photography is a little bit of a different situation, but um I don't ever plan to take a picture. So
Mm,
for me, it's very much about that flow.
okay.
I will just I just live my life, go out and about, do whatever I'm going to do, and then something catches my eye, and that's when I take a picture. Maybe there's the way the light is hitting something, or just an interesting subject, or a beautiful color, or whatever it is. Um, so it's very much, it's like sometimes I'm like, I don't even know, I'm not me doing it, right? It's like sometimes time and space will fall away, and sometimes I'll take pictures almost with my eyes closed, like it, because sometimes there's too much sun in my face or whatever, but there's something that sort of moves through me. That's what I feel like, and often I will, maybe I'm not having a great day, but then I'll go on a walk or something, and I'll start to feel better, and then I'll be inspired to take a picture.
Yeah.
I often like, I know what you're saying, like, I think when I'm taking the picture, I am in that bliss state, for sure, and when I'm editing, for me, there's a lot of editing, like, I add in a lot of colors and effects after, so the picture itself is one phase of it, but then, like, the editing is a whole other phase. So, but I would say that if I'm in a bad mood, observing the world in a positive way, like that'll put, I don't know what comes first. If I get in the good mood first and then I see the picture, or the picture puts me in a good mood. But either way, when I actually snap the picture, it's because I'm feeling like, wow, this is
Mm,
cool. Oh my God. Like I'm feeling that wonder. So yeah, in the moment that I take any picture, it's because I feel that awe and wonder. And so that comes through. It's funny, I'll just tell a funny story, because I
sure.
do feel like the tortured artist, I think a lot of it for me, we talked about this a little bit when we
Yeah.
were in person, just the idea of like, can it be this fun and easy? Like I think a lot of people have like a story that you gotta like suffer for stuff. And I feel like I kind
They
of,
own the suffer. Like, "Oh, I deserve this vacation because I work so hard." Like,
right.
this is
Yeah.
no. You
No,
deserve
yeah, well,
because you exist.
and it's, I mean, I get it. It's like this is what we're told. And what's funny is when I really started to do the art, when it really started to come through, like I did so many years of running all these social media accounts. And I got so sick of, like, I know you have to pay attention of how the population talks and feels and whatever. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of conversation in the social media, like, weekend is here, vacation is here, and people are just living for
Friday.
these moments. Yeah. So I became really fixated on, I don't care what day it is. I don't care what time it is. I don't care if it's Tuesday at 9 p.m. This is amazing. This is my life. This is cool. Like I really that started to come through really strong. I started to get like really like a pushback. And like even like now I really have like then I had clients and things. So I had to sort of know what day and time it was. But now I have trouble remembering what day it is, what time it is. And I think that's a good thing, because why should Friday be special, but Tuesday's not special? Like
Yeah.
that's absurd, right? Like it's an absurd meaning it's a meaning that we give to it, that we've chosen as a group, and we could choose anything else we want to choose.
Yeah.
And so I often have the most magical time on like a Monday night or a Wednesday morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's often the most magical things happen to me because I'm not stuck in like a time frame. And
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk whatever about other things, but like I have a video on my YouTube. Like I started to have weird things with like all my clocks changing time. Like Like, I've had all
That's
kinds of things happen, I think
fascinating.
because I've sort of stepped out of, like, the normal framework, but anyways, I the thing that I wanted to say, though, I had when I first started to sell a lot of pieces and I started to make, like, really big pieces, one of the first big pieces that went on display in a store, and I had this nightmare. Okay, so it was, like, beautiful, bright green ocean, the surfer that's, like, in midair, and I put, like, a rainbow around it. It was, like, this really colorful, bright, and huge piece, and it was, like, front and center in their store, and I had this dream or this nightmare, like, people were lining up to see it, and they were so excited, and then they would get to the front to like, actually to the piece, and they would get, like, sucked in, and when they got sucked in, it
Oh
was
my
like a
god.
hellscape, and they died in there, and I was like and I woke up, and it was, like, horrible. I had to, like, leave town because people knew that I had
Oh
this
my
thing.
gosh.
I was, like, sucking the life out of people with my art, and I woke up and, like, when you have, like, a nightmare, I woke up, like, such a horrible feeling, and then, of course,
Did you
laughing.
remember waking up like it was on purpose? Because sometimes when I have nightmares, I was like, "Oh, I can just wake up," like in my dream.
Oh, it wasn't
No.
lucid, like, I didn't have control like that, but I woke up just with that, like, pounding,
Oh
awful
my
feeling that I was doing this horrible thing to people. And then when I recalled it, then I started to laugh. I'm like, "That's crazy." And of all the art, I do think a lot of artists do create from a dark place,
yeah.
and work is dark, and that's fine, that's an expression, but I create from a happy place and couldn't be happier if you tried, right? It's like rainbows and butterflies and birds and surfing and whatever. And that particular piece was so colorful and vibrant of all the things to, like, hurt somebody.
That is
And I
so
think for me,
interesting.
what I realized, like, in the subconscious, like, the programming was, like, me expressing myself and sharing the joy was somehow hurting people. And I do think there's a story that, again, with, like, suffering, that you're supposed to, like, tone it down, not
Mhm.
be bright,
If
not
you if
be
you
expressive.
exact and I know exactly what you mean. Like we are so in tune to the suffering that when you just say, "No, life is good. Life is amazing." And then the
Yeah,
person will look at you. Like I had a friend the other day, and she was like, "No, but I don't want to have fun. I don't feel right to have fun." And I was like, "How?" Like there are a lot of people blame themselves for having a good life. So I know
yeah,
exactly. Maybe that was your dream. Like you're
yeah,
living a dream, sharing happiness, and how dare you?
yeah. It's
Right.
like that kind of energy that, like, you should be punished for doing well. I think that's a storyline in in the consciousness.
And the collective
I
consciousness.
felt it. Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, this is terrible."
I'm so happy that you're like start laughing. I will probably like wanted to investigate and go to my therapist. Like, what was this dream about?
I mean, I feel like I could right away, I could understand
Yeah.
that I was playing out some of those feelings, and so I think, like, just to bring it back to what you said about, like, the tortured artist, I think this is a story. I think we play out these storylines, whatever your belief, whatever story you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Somewhere inside, I was telling myself that story, and sometimes I still tell myself that story, right? But I think it's funny. I mean, you have to laugh, like, I mean, it's just an idea, you don't have to continue on with it. They're just ideas, you can pick a new one.
Your consciousness is the only reality that is. If you could define creative consciousness, what does it mean to you?
Life, everything. Everything is creative consciousness.
Yeah.
Show me something that's not. I feel like it's funny. Everybody's creating every minute. Your whole life is a creation. I don't think you have to be a quote unquote artist.
No, no.
I think
We are
we're
all
all,
artists.
you're the artist of your life, or, whatever it is that you,
Creative consciousness for me is when you realize that you're not a spectator, you are the creator of your life. That
yeah.
is for me what creative consciousness is,
The other
you know.
thing Yeah, the other thing that I think about a lot is even these terms like positive and negative. I mean, A, it's all relative. B, it's like one, I don't know, it's all creating, it's all available, it's all options. Like we talked about that book, Reality Transurfing. Like he talks about like everything is neutral. There's all these options in like the quantum field. There's all these options and you can just
Everything exists in the quantum field.
right, if
Yeah.
you make one scary or something, you're gonna try to avoid it, and then you're gonna end up getting it. And so it's like, I don't know, because I see things in the world, let's say, that I don't like, but I can also appreciate the artistry of the mastermind that
Yeah.
create even like a war or something that I don't want a part of, but yet I can understand and I can look at all the creative components, even that's creating. Even though it's a sad creation or it's a upsetting creation, but it's like there's still a creation. So I think I'm not saying that we should aim for those things. I'm aiming for the opposite of that. But in appreciating and understanding, I think that to me, that brings peace is to sort of look at, you know what, everything is a creation, everything is interesting, everyone is coming from somewhere, everyone is creating. And so if we start to view things in that way, things can shift and you can start to
Almost like neutralizing the
yeah,
energy
neutralize.
because everything that divides will separate us. So
Yeah.
we want to neutralize. And how do you neutralize is by not picking one side or another or not judging one better than the other.
Yeah, just becoming interested and I feel like I've always been someone, and especially with photography, it's like I get really interested. Why
Mm,
is that person doing that? And I guess, yeah, if I was them and I grew up like that or whatever,
yeah.
yeah, I guess that's what I would do. It's like when you start to really try to put yourself in someone else's shoes, you start to realize, like, yeah, if you were them, you would do that. Like, you think, oh, I would never. Well, you wouldn't, but if you know what I mean? Like, it's like an interesting thing to me. So to me, it's all creation and it's all interesting. And when it becomes interesting, then I think that's when you can start to laugh at like some stuff and laugh at yourself and neutralize and relax a little. And when you can do that, then you can start to talk to people, come together. Because if you can see someone's perspective, now you can have a conversation, you could start to connect, like you said, the ideas come together. So when you start to realize everybody's creating, everybody's creative, everybody, even things you don't like, it's a creation and it's interesting. And then that starts to open dialogue and come together. And if you can value it or be interested in it or understand or try to understand, then you can move things back together because everything is consciousness and we're all connected.
Yeah. I love when you say becoming interested because I always say I'm curious. I'm curious. And one of the exercises that I decided to do to live by the non-judgment feeling, I made a list with everything that I judged and every person that I disliked. And I tried to do exactly what you said to step into their shoes. I started watching movies from like, leaders that I dislike or different personalities. I try to understand where they came from that in a way to neutralize it. I don't have to agree with them, but I can at least understand them and neutralize that negative feeling. It
Yeah,
was a
that's
really powerful exercise. It's like half of your problems is gone and when you stop judging other people.
it's so true. It's really true. That's really powerful that you did that, you thought to do that. That's an
Yeah.
amazing and for me, I studied anthropology in school, in college, and I had this one professor who was, like, so amazing, and we read this I won't go into all the details, but, we read all these books about all these civilizations, like, places that had been especially when I went to college, we were reading books from, like, years before even, so anthropologists were discovering like villages and tribes and people that there was no internet, no television, no cars, no nothing in these villages. And there was one story in particular was like pretty wild, like human sacrifice, like all kinds of wild stuff. And it was like I read it and it was like, this is terrible, like these people are crazy, right? And the the professor, she, everybody was mad about it that we read this terrible thing. And then she's like, okay, okay, you're American, you have television, you grew up all this stuff. And imagine now you're not you. You're this
Mhm.
person in this village. You don't even know what a television is. You've never seen anyone outside of you in the other villages. You've never been to some city. You've never seen the car. You've never, this is your whole life. And this is what you've been told your whole life that this is what we do here, right? If you break the rules, this is what happens. And you have no other perspective. And if you don't go along with it, then you're exiled and you're going to die, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I was just for that was the first time where I was like, yeah, I guess if that
Okay.
was right, if I was in me and I was that person in that village, like, yeah, you're right, I probably would sacrifice this person for, because
Yeah.
like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think of anything else. And it's like, that was like, oh my God, you mean I would do something like a person would do that for not the reasons you think, right? Because that's justified in their world, right? Like
Yeah.
it's interesting. I think that's an important thing to do. I think everybody should understand.
Each other. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really powerful thing that we can all do. Even if your neighbor bugs you, go and like asking him some questions about his childhood. You're gonna like in the same minute, you're gonna be like more interested than judgmental.
Yeah.
Brooke, we can talk about for hours. Please share where people can find you or buy your work or look it up your YouTube. Please let us know so people can connect with you.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. This was fun. And I always like to talk about these things. And yeah, if people want to find me, brookewilen.com, Wilen. And I'm in Manhattan Beach. I have a little gallery if you want to come see me in person. Contact info is on the website. It's by appointment, but there's plenty of stuff available on the website, on my Instagram.
I'll make sure to put all of your information in the show notes. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Leave your best takeaways in the comments so we can all know. And follow Brooke to see her beautiful creations and the spiritual awakening journey. Thank you. Bye.